Elaine, is that me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to welcome everybody to the Education and Practice Committee meeting. Shall we have everyone introduce themselves since it's being recorded? Ms. Yamaguchi, shall we have, would you introduce the members that are with you? I'd like to have our members also say that they're present. Mr. Hill?
Present.
Thank you.
Member Nieblas is not logged on just yet, but we do have Member Guzman.
Ms. Guzman? Thank you. And Ms. Yamaguchi. So we do have a quorum though, because we have 3 of us, right?
That's correct.
All right.
Could you take, Dr. Mountain, could you take roll call to establish a quorum, please? This is Christy Shields, counsel for the board.
Okay. Mr. Hill?
Here.
Ms. de Guzman? Ms. Guzman?
Present.
And Ms. Nieblas? So Ms. Nieblas is not here, and I'm Carol Mountain. I am here. So there's 3 out of the 4 committee members are here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Yamaguchi, could you introduce the board?
The staff here, the non-education division staff here is our analyst, Rebecca Ball. But because they're just so darn many of the education team, I'm going to let Misty Young introduce them all.
Thank you, Elaine. Hi, everyone. This is Beth DeYoung, the Supervising Nursing Education Consultant. And I would really like to have our education division staff come on camera. And I'm pleased to announce that we are fully staffed. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone can come on and show themselves as we introduce them all, if you don't mind. So Nicholas, if you don't mind, just stop sharing the PowerPoint so we can see. There we go. All right, so I am going to just quickly start my video. Hopefully you can see me. So hi, I'm Beth DeYoung, and I'm going to go ahead and start with introductions. All right, first is Dr. Judith McLeod. She is our lead NEC. She is waving right there. And then we have our NECs, which is Jessica Gomez. And then we have Faye Silverman, Dr. Cindy Fairchild, Charlene De La Rosa, Tara Davila. We also have Roberta Thompson, who's here, but she's unable to come on camera. And then we have Bridget Barrett. And we also have our AGPAs, which is Geraldine Maracino. Where is Geraldine? Geraldine is there. She is unable to come on camera right now. And we also have Nicholas Gonzalez, who is also our moderator today. And then last but not least, we have our program technician, Tiori Randolph, who is not at the meeting today. All right, thank you, Elaine.
Thank you. And we, of course, also have counsel, Ms. Shields.
Good morning. This is Christy Shields from the Legal Affairs Division of the Department of Consumer Affairs covering this meeting today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you to everybody for being here. Let's see.
Ms. Nieblas has arrived, Madam Chair.
Good. Ms. Nieblas, can you just affirm that you're with us, please?
Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you so much.
All right, I am here.
Thank you. So we have all 4 of our committee members. That's excellent. I think that we are actually ready to move on to the Supervising Nursing Education Consultant updates for the Education Division. We're all the way to number 4.
All right, thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, and I really appreciate everybody being here today. And I'm going to start with program stats. Currently, we have 166 total approved programs. 154 are VN, and there are 12 PT programs. We have, out of the 166, we have 100 private programs. We have 44 community colleges, 4 ROPs, and 18 adult schools. We have 5 programs that are on provisional approval currently, and we have 12 proposed programs that are assigned to our NECs. And since October of 2022, when we started our new proposed program approval process, since then we've had 15 programs apply for a new school or program. And out of all 15, they are all VN programs. Out of the 15, 2 private VN programs have been approved already. One has stopped communicating during the LOI process, which is the letter of intent process. So that brings us to 12 on our active list currently. And out of those 12, 8 are assigned to NECs, and the last 4 are still in the letter of intent process. In 2022, we approved 10 programs, and we haven't approved that many, or 10 programs, since 2008. And currently in 2023, we have approved 7 programs, and we expect to exceed our number of 10 last year in 2023. So we're on a really good track. Out of those 15 programs that I mentioned that have applied for a new school or program, 13 are VN private programs and 2 are VN community colleges. I'm going to switch gears here and talk about Education Division projects, which is B. And starting with staff updates, which I mentioned, we are fully staffed, and I am very excited to announce that. With our promotion of an NEC to the SNEC position, 1 NEC candidate was hired in October of 2022 and moved to that vacant permanent full-time NEC position. And with the governor's 2022-23 budget, which included funds to hire 2 additional NECs and 1 AGPA, we have filled all 3 positions. The AGPA was filled on April 17th of this year, and the 2 additional NEC positions were filled on April 24th and 27th of this year. So going into licensure examination development, the Education Division, we recruited 7 licensed PTs as subject matter experts, and that was to assist with the development of the PT licensure examination. There was a 3-day workshop, which was held back in January from the 11th to the 13th, and this was for evaluating the current examination and also to assist with the item test writing and exam development. So during this workshop, they reached all the goals that were listed, and we're currently working on the January 2024 3-day PT workshop. We also on February 24th, there was an online meeting which was held with 8 PT program directors and the Department of State Hospital team. And this discussion was led by DSH, and the topics were challenges with increasing the number of California PT licensees, and also the need for broader marketing and outreach strategies just to increase that awareness of the PT role. That seemed to be a theme between all the PT directors, is that need for marketing of what a PT is and what they do, and on a larger scale, not necessarily what they're doing currently in the local market. And they also have future meetings are expected to be held with the same group regarding this development and potential marketing campaign for the PT role. And then in spring 2023, which was on May 3rd, we held our online director forum, and this was held via WebEx. It was a 1-day conference, and this allowed for guest speakers, which were amazing. We had director networking during breakout sessions, and we were also able to have extended Q&A sessions. We had a total of 135 directors and or their designee from each program which attended. So we had a very large group. And in addition to our director forum, the NECs currently, they conduct quarterly online meetings with each of their program directors as a group. So they stay in contact with their directors and they can present board updates, any kind of review or clarification processes, or addressing questions or concerns within that group of their directors, just to stay in touch, keep that relationship building, and help to answer any questions they have. Then on April 29th, Dr. Mountain, Elaine, and myself, we presented at the CVNE, which is the California VN Educators. It was a spring conference, and we really enjoyed being a part of that conference. And we did have some great discussions with all of the VN attendees. Moving on to a few things that we're working on in the education division, the NECs have begun the regulatory revision work, and this is for Article 5, School of Vocational Nursing, as well as schools for prep for PT. And this is going to be a long project, obviously, but we're really excited that we got started, and we're going from reg to reg and looking at each one and working together as a group to make necessary revisions. So there's more to come on that. We are in the very early stages. And then website updates. We've made some changes to our website, which includes updating some tabs. Well, with the education tab, we have links under that tab, and we've added the proposed program application process tab. We've added the continue program approval application tab, and this is to help those who want to see the steps on how these processes work. It also contains all the required forms they need. We've also added a link just recently to the education tab for post-licensure certificates and post-licensure providers. And this is for both VN and PT. And this is going to help a lot for the public to have easy access to the information, forms, and also decrease the number of phone calls that we received. Within that process, we're updating and obtaining approval for IV blood withdrawal CE forms. This is to make it more clear and ease of use for the public, and to include the correct fee requirements. Now, one thing that we've been working on as well is implementing a dashboard function on the website. This has been long-standing that we've been working on over the past year. It is a wish of ours, and it's looking like it might come to fruition, but the dashboard may include a map of all approved VN and PT programs, and this will help those who are interested in applying for a new program to see the areas of need. And also if people just want to see where programs are in certain areas. It may also include various statistics for our approved programs, and to assist those who are like seeking enrollment into a VN or PT program. So that is our website. And one last thing is we just recently finished about 2 months ago working with DCA's Organizational Improvement Office, or OIO, and they provide boards with change management services, business process mapping, and then they consult on how they could improve productivity, increase quality of our processes, etc. So we mapped out a lot of our processes, and that has been complete. So the office is now preparing their report detailing specific recommendations on improving efficiencies throughout our division. And then the final report will be presented to our EO for review. Once we receive that, the report and recommendations will be presented to the full board at a future meeting. So that concludes my updates for the education division. I'd be happy to answer any questions or discuss any suggestions you may have. Thank you.
Very impressive. A lot of good things happening. So absolutely support the whole thing with meeting people about psychiatric.
I'm sorry, Committee Member Mountain, you seem to be fading out with your audio.
Sorry, I have a different speaker I can get if I need to. Is that better? Is
It's
that
better than it was, but it's not as clear as you were previously.
All right, well, I will get my microphone while we do the next section. I just wanted to say what a great job the whole education division is doing. So,
Your audio is fantastic.
oh, thank you. Let's see. I believe that we are ready to move on to discussion and possible action to make recommendations to the board regarding vocational nursing program approval requirements. It looks like consideration of recommendation to rescind the program's pattern of admission, Unitech College Hayward vocational nursing program, and in parentheses it says Ms. Gomez.
Good day. How are you? This report is regarding the Unitech College Hayward campus, and it is being brought to the Education Committee because of an ongoing issue of the program not having adequate faculty to teach the program. It was first brought out in September of 2022 that the program director submitted at that time a continued approval survey, which did identify that there were not adequate faculty, and at that time 6 violations were also identified. And that is on your attachment B, which was the notice to the school of the violations. I do want to notify it also that in from October 15th, 2020 through
Excuse me, I'm
July-
sorry to interrupt. Excuse me, this is counsel for the board. Ms. Gomez, could you clarify if the board members got some materials for this committee meeting?
Did you receive the report and the 2 attachments?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we need to make those materials available to the public at the same time the members are getting the materials.
It was sent, I know that it was sent to the school.
Right, but it's the public. We need to let the public have a copy of the materials. They should be posted on the web. And that was my understanding that was going to happen. So could you tell me where they are posted? Because all I see is the agenda for this meeting.
I apologize. That was my error. I thought that was for the eyes of the committee members specifically.
No, materials that are provided to the members have to be provided to the public.
Hi, Christy. This is Beth DeYoung.
Yes.
Hi. So the past Education Committee meetings have not posted the board reports. They have obviously posted the agenda. So
okay, based on, I'm sorry, I'm going from the Open Meeting Act. We're supposed to provide materials that are made available, unless it's closed session, which is understandable. We're supposed to provide the materials to make them available to the public. If they're provided during the meeting, we can provide them within a reasonable time after the meeting. But it sounds like they were provided prior to the meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct. That has been done for a few years. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before I was on vacation last week, sorry, members. And before I left, my understanding was it was going to be posted.
It's my oversight. I apologize. Ms. DeYoung is correct that for the past several years, we have not posted materials beyond the agenda itself for the committee meetings. And I know that you did point that out last week before you left.
Yes.
But yeah, it's my oversight for not making certain that we got that one up. But so with that in mind, being that, the custom and practice of the committee has been such that, but would you then recommend that we just not have this discussion?
Yes, that would be my recommendation. I'm sorry, members, but I thought we had a understanding before I left. And if that was going to change someone, I mean, I left instruction about who to talk to while I was out.
No, that's,
but
like I said, it's my fault that too many things and this slipped through. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the government code section is, let me find it for you. Sorry, 11125.1. Trying to, for some reason, my computer is not cooperating right now. Let me see if I can find it on this website. One moment, please. Okay, writings that are public records that are distributed to members of the state body prior to or during a meeting pertaining to any item to be considered during the meeting shall be made available for public inspection at the meeting if prepared by the state body, or after the meeting if prepared by some other person. These writings shall be made available in appropriate alternative formats as required by Section 202 of the ADA and federal regulations regarding disability. So
I have a question. If that says at the meeting, can we not post it right now and be within compliance?
Prior to or during a meeting, at the meeting, yes. The problem is that
You just don't want
it says writings that are public records prior to or during a meeting shall be made available for at the meeting. I don't know how we would make sure everyone got a copy if it's not posted prior to the meeting. Do you understand? I mean, if the board members want to take that chance, they can just distribute it to those that are here. But the idea is that they get them at the same time that the members do, so they have the same access to the information. But, you know, an option would be to provide a link to the information in this meeting or have people, you know, post it right now on the internet.
Right.
Too.
We can do that, but Ms.
We have
Gomez,
to take a break.
yeah. Ms. Gomez, were we going to recommend an action or is this a discussion only today?
It was to recommend that it goes to the board meeting to rescind the ongoing pattern of admission.
Okay. So it's basically the desire of the committee then, should we, one, we can table the item as it does need to go to the full board anyways in August. Two, we can take a brief break and staff can upload the report and
Memo and the
post a link here.
attachments.
I beg your pardon?
The memo and the attachments to
Yes,
the
of
memo.
course.
Yes.
And 2.5 actually we could post and then probably also share the screen. Dr. Mountain, what do you think?
I think we're all here. We should take a brief break, post the information because I think it's important having read through it, and reconvene in 15 minutes and review these documents. What do you think?
Do you have is that enough time, Elaine?
I think so.
Is that okay, Ms. Yamaguchi?
Nicholas, do you think will that be okay?
I'm certainly looking into it. I do believe it will be doable.
Great. All right. So let's do that then. I appreciate the indulgence then. And we'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry about that.
Okay, it's now 2:45. It's been 15 minutes.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. And I will turn it back over to Ms. Gomez.
Where would you like me to start? Would you like me to start from the beginning or where I left off?
I think you can start where you left off. I think it'd be fine.
Okay. So it's important to note that from October the 15th of 2020 to July 19th of 2022, which is a 2-year period, there were 4 program directors approved for this program. So not only is the instability of the faculty, but also of the program director has been a concern. During the site visit of October the 24th and 25th, there was 2 NECs at this meeting. We did talk to the students and to the faculty. And both the students and the faculty, when we were asking them their questions, complained that there was lack of instructors. The instructors stated that they were unhappy with the program, that there were not enough instructors, and that they were forced to work extra shifts. 10 of the students that we talked to stated that they would not recommend the program because it was so disorganized and that there were not enough instructors, and that the maternity clinical rotation was delayed due to the lack of a maternity instructor to teach the class. And so this has been a real concern since October the 28th. A notice of violation was sent to the program. On November the 4th, the provost submitted a response, and that response is attachment C, and due to its length and superfluous data, pages 13 through 107 were removed from the document to protect sensitive information. On November the 17th, on February the 28th, the NEC received notice that the program would be holding in-house clinicals because an instructor was ill and she was unable to find an instructor to do in-person clinical experience. On March the 10th, the same situation happened. A clinical instructor would cover would not cover the clinical site, but would cover skills lab. On May 12th, due to the resignation of an instructor, they were having to re-evaluate the clinical sites for this program. It was determined that they had 2 substitute instructors who could do the clinical, but they would not go to the clinical site in Pittsburgh. So they insisted that it would be done in the skills lab. So here again, the students would be rotated through for the rest of the term, and the students would lose valuable clinical time to be in the skills lab. On May 25th, 2 part-time instructors were approved in accordance with California Code of Regulations, Section 2529. And on May 26th, the NEC met on a Teams meeting with the program administration and the program director, and this was discussed. One of the important things that was brought out was how come the instructors refused to go to the Pittsburgh campus. I have been to that Pittsburgh campus and seen it, and the question of safety is there. If the students are refusing to go to that site, the instructors are refusing to go to that site, is it because of safety? Because that area really did not look like it was a place that I would want to be there in the evening, which is when they have a lot of their programs. So during the analysis, I evaluated and found that the 33 instructors had been hired between January 2020. Of those, 14 of these instructors are still teaching. 2 of them were initially identified as per diem, and 17 were initially identified as part-time. Due to the violation number 2 during the program site inspection on October 24th and 25th, 7 instructors were approved between October and November of 2022. Of those 7 instructors, 3 were terminated by February of 2023. 7 instructors have been approved in 2023, 2 of which were approved on May 12th, 2023. And of these 7, 2 have already terminated. 4 instructors were identified in the total number of instructors that have never taught within the last 24 months. So my recommendation is to take this program to the full board to rescind their pattern of admission. I want you to know that, yes, their pass rates are within regulations. They are equal in Q1 of 2023 with the state. They do have the clinical sites, but they consistently do not have the adequate resources for faculty. At this moment, they do, but I cannot guarantee that this program will continue having adequate resources. So it's the recommendation to remove their ongoing admissions. If you have any questions.
Just to clarify one last thing, they still do not have enough instructors, even though they hired these 33 and it sounded like 19 of them left. Is that correct?
That's correct. At this moment, they do have enough for the class. But during the time when they did not have enough for this cohort, they were in the process of starting 2 new cohorts, and I highly suggested that they wait on starting the new cohorts until they had the faculty to teach what was already in session, and I never got a response to that recommendation.
And you are recommending that they change their pattern of admission, correct?
I'm recommending that they have to request every class that they admit so that the NEC can evaluate the faculty that they have.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Board members, is there any other questions for Ms. Gomez?
Excuse me, I do have a question if the board members do not have any.
Go ahead, please.
So, Ms. Gomez, you're saying they're currently in compliance, but you have concerns and you want to monitor ongoing their admissions or their faculty or both qualifications?
I want to monitor their admission so that I know that they have adequate faculty for the classes that they're bringing in.
So would the recommendation really be then that they rescind the standing approval for the level of admission and require the school to submit per class approvals for admission to the board prior to admitting the class?
That is what this is saying. Recommendation number 1 is to rescind the pattern of admissions that they have. And then on program requirements, it would be to require the program when requesting approval for a program to submit the documents that we would need to evaluate.
Okay, because I think that from my perspective, maybe the board members got it, but I didn't see that that was what was being requested. And just so everyone is clear what the status would be if the board agrees with the recommendation, because this is just a recommendation to the full board, what the school would be left with if you rescinded their current program approval for pattern of admission and what it would be based upon. So that I just want to make sure the committee members understand that they would still be allowed to admit students, but it would be based upon a per class admission approval. Is that right, Ms. Gomez?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, once again, I just want to make sure that from the committee members, there are no questions. And then I believe that we need to open it up for public comment. Is that correct?
Well, the question would be if the members have a motion, you'd want to make that first, unless you want to take public comment, then make a motion, then take public comment twice. I mean, it's up to you. You may want to open it up for public comment and maybe, hear from the school or something.
Yes, if there is someone here from the school, we would like to hear from them first.
Okay, thank you.
Is there someone here from the school, moderator?
I do not currently see any. However, if you are from the school, please raise your hand. If you are using a phone, you may use *3 in order to raise your hand.
All right. It looks like there's no one. Is that correct?
I see Janice Holt for Unitech College. Are you wishing to speak? If so, would you please raise your hand? Okay, I do not see any raised hands.
All right, then I will call for a motion. Do we have a motion from the board? And you can certainly ask Council Schlieg for advice on how to word the motion.
Yes, I would like to have council help that motion.
Pardon me. I do see individuals. Oh, there are people that wish to speak, but they can't seem to raise their hands. I apologize.
Okay, I will wait.
All right.
Hello, this is Janice Holt for Unitech College Hayward campus. Thank you everyone for letting me speak this afternoon. I'm sorry, I can't find the raise my hand button. I'm so sorry for the delay. I just wanted to discuss some things for the Unitech College Hayward campus, and we completely acknowledge the recommendations from our NEC, Mrs. Gomez, and we don't oppose her recommendation. Since we have been meeting with Ms. Gomez on a regular basis, we have improved the staffing at the Hayward campus. For our last meeting with her in May of this year, we had a total of 9 full-time faculty, and now a month later, we are currently at 13 full-time faculty, and we still have more faculty that we are hiring in order to try to turn the staffing concerns around at the Hayward campus. We have instituted several programs. 3 of our most recent faculty approvals, we've assisted those faculty to complete the teaching credential, and we found at other campuses, those faculty tend to have a higher longevity with the program. because they are working on their credential and other things while they are employed with us. So we've tried to really ramp up that process at the Hayward campus so they can benefit from some of that longevity as well. We are also increasing the number of part-time faculty at the campus. As Ms. Gomez mentioned in her communications with faculty and students about clinical sites, we're also in the process of conducting our own faculty surveys regarding their experience, regarding the clinical sites, so we can try to be, as supportive of our faculty as we can, and looking at site placement and where they're going, what shift they're working with the students, so we can better fulfill the needs of the faculty and still meet the program objectives. Does anyone have any questions for me?
No, but thank you very much. I don't know. Are there any other questions from the board? Thank you very much for speaking.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Hill, did you want to make a motion?
I wanted to request for council, maybe to recommend a motion.
Well, I mean, do you agree with and support the staff recommendation? This is Christy Shields, counsel for the board.
So I would like to make the motion to agree with the NEC's recommendation. And
okay. Sorry, Tim, I apologize for interrupting, but let me just see if I can frame the motion and see if you agree with it before we move forward. Is that all right?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Thank you. I know it's hard with WebEx to know when we're speaking over each other. So the recommendation, the motion would be to recommend to the full board to rescind Unitech College Hayward's current board-approved pattern of admission, which includes 3 46-week full-time day classes of 36 students per year to replace graduating students, 1 62-week full-time evening class of 36 students per year, 2 75-week part-time evening weekend classes of 36 students to replace graduating students only, place the program on the August 2023 board meeting agenda for consideration, and require the program to meet the requirements as outlined in the meeting materials and the staff memo to the committee, dated June 13th, 2023. So that would include getting prior approval from the board to admit students on a per class basis. Does that sound like what you were going for?
Yes, I would like to so move.
Thank you.
We have a second?
Second.
And who is that? Can you say your name?
Gloria Guzman.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. Ms. Shields, should I reopen for any public comment? Yes.
Yes, please.
All right. So moderator, can we please open for public comment?
Absolutely. We are trying to set up public comment. If there is any errors and you are not able to raise your hand, please put in chat your intent. I do see one hand up for a caller. Would you like me to? Pardon?
Yeah, let's have that person speak, please.
All right, please speak. 2408.
Okay, I'm there now.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay, this is Shirley Jones, president of LVLNC, Licensed Vocational Nurses League of California. And I was listening here as you were trying to do a new motion for rescinding the program for Unitech School. And it seemed as though, did they start out with the correct amount of faculty and students and a program that seemed like it was going to work for the students, and then somewhere down the line they just got lagging with students maybe dropping out, stopped filling the requirements for the class, and then this is where the ball was dropped immediately, or this has been just ongoing, and finally the board had to just step in and just say halt. Because it seems as though now the students that were enrolled in this class has lost a lot of valuable time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Are there other comments?
Certainly, I will be moving on to Asima Jabbar.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Asima Jabbar. I'm from Lotus Medical Career College. I was hearing the conversation regarding the OB clinical side, but my question is not really related to Unitech, but we have to, I think, see that our LVNs actually working in hospitals, in OB or maternity, because they are not hiring LVNs there, and it's very difficult to get the clinical sites for the OB. So the most we can get is maybe clinicals where they just go for prenatal checkups. So that's what I was thinking to talk about. It's very difficult to get hospital because everywhere you call, they say we don't hire LVNs and we don't have LVN practice there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
I see no one else has raised their hand.
Thank you so much. I'd like to do a roll call vote for the motion that was put forth to accept the recommendations of the NEC. Ms. Guzman?
I would like to accept the recommendations.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Niebles?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm also a yes. That's moved. It's voted unanimously, 4 out of 4. So, Ms. Yamaguchi, will that go to the August board meeting? That'll move forward to the August board meeting?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. I believe we are ready to move on to executive officer updates. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members, and all my good friends here. Just a few quick things in terms of legislative updates and our upcoming sunset review. There's really only one bill right now that really merits some updating and some, I think, caution, we'll say. And I know I've mentioned this to the board before, and that would be SB 544, which would essentially extend the conditions that the boards like us have operated on during the pandemic through the governor's executive order, basically helping us to meet via WebEx or teleconference without basically posting a location for the board members to call in from and making those individual locations accessible to the public. So essentially, long story short, SB 544 would enable us to continue to do business the way we have been for the past couple of years, to with the option to meet in public or to meet via WebEx or some kind of hybrid whereby we could meet in public and folks who could not, for example, fly to Sacramento could call in but not be required to, say, for example, post their home addresses as a location for the board meeting and permit members of the public to use that as their public access point for the meeting. So we've thought that this was a good policy. We've talked about this over the course of this year, as well as last year in a couple of different vehicles, the final of which of one was a budget trailer bill, which was approved but sunsets June 30th, this Friday. So absent this policy, as of July 1, we are required to either meet completely in person or go back to the old teleconferencing practice we had. To give perspective, what this board has done in the past is pretty similar to most of our colleagues, and that would be that we would arrange for some centrally located offices or meeting rooms, some in San Diego, Los Angeles area, East Bay, as well as here in Sacramento, so that board members didn't call into the meeting from their own homes, but didn't have to make the long trip and didn't have to worry about that public access and certainly not public notice of their own addresses. We would be required to go back to that structure as of July 1. Now, this bill is waiting to be heard in its second house. And while we are pretty comfortable right now that it will eventually pass, it does not contain the kind of urgency clause language which would put it into effect immediately upon the governor's signature. Generally speaking, if it is approved by the legislature and goes to the governor, he would have till something like the middle of October to sign or veto. And then the bill, if it is finalized as it's written, would go into effect as of January 1. So long story short, even though we're confident that this bill, well, not confident, but we believe that this bill will pass. We hope this bill will pass. But even if it does, we are certainly looking at some changes in the way we've been able to meet, which means that our August meeting will certainly be live and in person up here in Sacramento. We don't know just yet about our November meeting, and we won't until the bill is actually finalized and signed. And if it is, of course, enacted, then, of course, it's the board's pleasure as to whether they would like to meet in person in February or via WebEx or another platform or some hybrid. So, as I said, I wanted to make certain that the board members and our colleagues in the field are aware of how this is playing forward. I think it's, as I said, I think it's a really important policy. There's been a lot of study and a lot of discussion, and almost all the public boards and bureaus and entities have reported that not only did public access not dwindle under these conditions, a lot of people like ours have reported that actually people have found our meetings more accessible, have been able to come to more and participate in more meetings and more meaningfully than they had been, when they had to drive through Los Angeles, find a place to park, and come in. So, like I said, we believe this is a really good policy. The board had actually voted to support a bill similar to this last year. And so moving forward, we're hopeful. But the big thing that I did want to mention now is, of course, because as I said, as of July 1, no matter what, that's next week. We will be required to meet either in public or using the old telecommunication, teleconference rules. And so that's relevant for this committee. The other committees of the board are 2-member committees and don't need to make the public posting and of their agendas and the meetings. So they have been able to meet via WebEx or teleconferencing without a problem. But this committee will need to post its agenda with a 10-day notice. Will need to make this meeting accessible to the public. And so what I wanted to make certain that the committee members were aware of is just that. And it's actually, if it's allowable, I'd kind of like to take a bit of a straw poll to see, if we're assuming that, I don't know that we would need to have the committee meet again before the August board meeting, but between the August board meeting and the November board meeting, it is highly likely that we would. And so if we're going to assume that the committee would need to meet live and in person, like I said, I'd kind of like to get an indication from the members whether it would be easier, more practicable, whether we put a meeting together here in Sacramento, whether we found a venue in Southern California, even the East Bay, because then, Mr. Hill could host. But anyways, like I said, I wanted to try and get a straw poll to see what would be perfect world or at least easiest, I think, on the members. So if I could hand that back to you, Madam Chair.
Sorry, Ms. Yamaguchi, do you think we could wait till that agenda item comes up at the end of the meeting about scheduling a future committee meeting? Because this is legislative updates, right? We're on legislative updates.
It is, but I was hoping that with the knowledge of the bill, I could get like a little bit of an indication from the board members.
Okay.
Is that cheating too much?
Well, I just want to make sure we're staying on topic, so that's why I want to see if we could hold off on that. But if you think that would be, and the chair agrees, it's up to her.
Dr. Mountain, it's a matter of a couple of minutes of wait. So I don't mind if you'd rather.
I'm okay either way, Elaine. Whatever you want to do,
all right.
It's fine.
Our
committee's pretty small, so your straw vote's
in the interest of keeping things, I think, on the agenda, then let's go ahead and move in, and we'll talk about the sunset review, and then we'll talk about this under number 9, scheduling the meeting. So I did want to revisit the sunset review, and forgive me, because I feel like I'm really belaboring the point in terms of the report and the hearing. We will be starting, in fact, we already have started pulling together the information for the sunset report. This report covers all of our activity, for good or for ill, since the last report. So that would have been through, let's just call it from, say, January 1 of 2021 through most likely something like either June 30th or September 30th of this year, because we'll have to have a cutoff point for the statistics to be able to report. But we have a lot to discuss in this report. And, the team has been already talked a couple of times about how best to divide up the work for this. And it will be something. We anticipate that reports will be due to the legislature something like the first week of January, which means that in a perfect world, we would have the board vote to approve our final report at the November board meeting, which means that we would, backing up, have at least one, if not two, just drafts sent out for comments and concerns over between, say, August and October, November. That's going to be pushing it closely. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. It is entirely possible that we would need to convene a special meeting in December specifically to approve the report. I don't know yet. I'm hoping not. But like I said, we really do need the board members to have, I think, a real thorough read and analysis and provide comments, suggestions, etc., to us so that we have that report complete and ready to move to the legislature. As I said, it's part of the larger process. We submit the report, and then sometime, usually probably mid to late March, we will be summoned for our hearing. Generally speaking, the board chair and the executive officer, and it's going to be live and in person this year, testify before the committee. Usually we're asked some questions. After that, usually there's a follow-up of questions from the report and from the hearing from the legislature that we would respond to. Again, we would need the board members to review and approve our official response to that as well. So in the after that, the recommendations that the legislature have will get put into our sunset renewal bill, hopefully, which, among other things, says whether or not the legislature believes that this board should continue in its current function, and if so, for how long. It'll make any kinds of suggestions or changes or directions that they would like to see this board take on in the next years or so. I think some of you will recall that our directions from the last sunset bill were pretty prescriptive. We were directed to create a whole new program approval system, and we did. We did it remarkably well, and again, that's completely owing to the fact that our staff and our council worked so well together and tirelessly to put these program recommendations together and then to implement them and then to launch the regulatory packages. So as I said, this is a very large and intricate process. And again, I'm going to say, forgive me for belaboring the point. You're going to hear about this a lot. And I feel like one thing that we would talk about perhaps is if the time frame is working right, we might ask the committees to do a really deep read of the relevant sections for them. But as I said, it's going to depend a lot upon our ability to pull all the information together, and whether or not we need to structure more of the content based on the snapshot from our data, and if so, when that cutoff date is. But again, and I want the board members to be comforted here, because it's going to be a very positive report. We've had a lot of successes. Do I think we still have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. But I genuinely think that this board has been very, very successful over the past couple of years. So let me stop now for any questions or comments.
I just want to agree with you. I think there's been a lot of work that's happened, and we've made a lot of progress having been in the last sunset. So I hope it's a different experience.
Me too. Incidentally, the hearing from last time is available on our website. So anybody who does want to watch, I did not get the best of it. It's a little painful for me to watch, but it's interesting, just from the pageantry of it all. But also I think there was a lot of really valid points made by the legislature. So if you're interested, we do have the link available.
Right. Any comments?
It's required viewing for the staff.
Let's see. Are we ready to move on to public comment on items not on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can we call for public comments, please?
All right, everyone at home, please raise your hand, or if you are calling in, please hit star number 3 to raise your hand if you would like to make public comment. All right, we have a commenter, Kobe Pizzotti. I'm unmuting you now.
Madam Chair and members, this is Kobe Pizzotti from the California Association of Psychiatric Technicians. I just wanted to say thank you for this report. It's been very helpful and thorough, especially as Io Yamaguchi mentioned, the upcoming Sunset Review bill. I believe it starts, like she said, in March. The process begins in March next year. I would hope that the committee members would continue to monitor and recognize the inequity that is paid by the licensees towards the fund that accredits, that draws money out of to accredit the schools. While it is necessary to have these schools accredited to get more people into the pipeline, it shouldn't be on the backs of the licensees. So I will continue to advocate for this board to make sure that the licensees are not bearing all the burden. Well, I know they're not bearing all the burden anymore, but as much of a burden as they are continuing to bear. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm seeing no other comments.
Thank you so much. Are there recommendations for agenda items for future committee meetings? I see no hands raised. Now, Ms. Yamaguchi, would you like to discuss the schedule of the next Education and Practice Committee meeting?
Great, thank you very much. And I'm glad to have given you a few minutes to marinate on that question. So like I said, I wanted to see if there was anybody who had strong feelings one way or the other about where meeting would be, let's say, less onerous than others, assuming that we do need to meet in person. Mr. Young, I don't know whether you and I had talked a little bit already, but we don't know and probably won't know for several months the degree to which we need to have a lot of business between August and November. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. Currently, we're not anticipating a report, but within the next few months, it could change. So when we have a live meeting, we do need to have prep time to, reserve a room. So we do need to possibly schedule something in October just in case.
So, Madam Chair, if maybe board members would like to chime in with preferences or concerns.
All right, I'll start by saying Sacramento is always good for me. Mr. Hill?
I really have no preference either or. Teleconference is more convenient, but those in-person meetings are fun. I can't wait to have another one, to be honest.
Ms. Guzman?
I have no preference.
And Miss Niebles?
I actually have a strong preference for doing the teleconference from Los Angeles. Traveling is physically hard. I've been going through some physical issues, so physically traveling is difficult for me. So teleconference would really help me meet my commitments.
Does that help, Ms. Yamaguchi?
It really does. It really does. Thank you very much.
I saw a hand up from Christy.
Yes, thank you. So this is Christy Shields, Board Counsel. I did have two things to suggest and for you to think about. First of all, I'm not available from the 13th through the 20th of October. I have 5 board meetings during that time. So that would none of that would be open for me to attend. You may have other counsel at that meeting, but I'm still reg counsel, even if I don't continue on as board counsel at this point. So just wanted to let you know about that. The second is when we do teleconference options, just keep in mind that once we put the location on the agenda under the law that it will revert to after on Friday, as Ms. Yamaguchi's indicated, once we put that on the agenda, that location has to remain open and a board member has to be present. So the question would be is if you do notice a Southern California location, will there be another board member in case something happens, God forbid, and you're not able to attend? Is there another board member that can go that location so we can continue to have the meeting? Because if we can't keep all locations that are on the agenda open to the public on a teleconference under the law that it will revert to on Friday, we have to cancel the meeting. So that's just something to consider. So, if you have a lot going on in that month, either consider rescheduling it or you're not sure if you can make it, don't put that location on the agenda just so that if you're not able to go, then we can continue with the meeting. So just keep that in mind because that's why the law was changed a few years ago during the pandemic to make it more flexible, because the law that it's going back to is quite restrictive when it comes to teleconference locations. There's a lot of requirements, including having a board member present and available at each location. That's going to be part of the noticed meeting. And if the no board member is able to attend at a noticed location, then we have to cancel the meeting. That's different from the current law we're operating under that's going to expire. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I guess my question is, do we choose a date or do we kind of wait to see how this works out? What I heard Misty Young saying is that she needs to make some kind of arrangements.
I think at the moment we can't really set a date.
Okay.
But
you could put out the members could offer dates where they're available, and then the board staff can identify a date that works for everybody and works for them to schedule, just so that Ms. DeYoung has something to work with. I would recommend that strongly. Otherwise, we're going to have to maybe have another meeting to have that extensive discussion, which I'm sure you don't want to do. So
that would be great. Yeah. If we could do a doodle poll for the members and for council and staff, let's do that.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do a doodle poll. That's taken care of. I believe our next thing is adjournment.
Yeah.
And we will adjourn this meeting at 3:30.
Oh, Madam Chair, Misty Young is asking for recognition.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't see her hand.
No, I apologize. My hand won't come down, but I was just going to say what Christy said. I was just going to get some dates from everybody. But sorry, my hand. Oh, thank you.
Never mind. Thank you.
All right. Are we adjourning now?
We are.
All right. I'll call it at 3:34 p.m. Thank you so much to everyone who attended.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.